All right, it is time for our pre-NFL Combine Bears mock draft. We're going to go through all 7 rounds and make selections for each pick. No trades on today's mock pre-Combine edition. We will do a post-Combine mock draft as well. My name is Harrison Graham. Let's jump into it right here. Christen Miller, the defensive tackle out of Georgia. He is the selection at 25 overall. The more I think about the Bears and their offseason approach, they need edge help, they need defensive tackle help. There's not a lot of defensive tackle options available in free agency or on the trade market, and that stuff comes typically, especially free agency, before the draft. So I could see them addressing edge in free agency or trade and then drafting a defensive tackle. And I think Christen Miller is kind of being the overlooked, under-talked about player in this defensive tackle class among the guys who could go in the first round. Now, obviously, the raw stats there aren't going to blow you away. But if you've paid attention to Georgia football long enough, historically, they rotate a lot on their defensive line. I mean, Jalen Carter never had crazy raw stats. I think the most sacks he had in a season was like 3 or 3.5 at Georgia. So this isn't exactly like new for a player that is highly regarded to come out of Georgia, and you'd be like, the stats don't really show much. And then they get into the league, and it's like, oh, yeah, they're pretty freaking good because they keep them fresh in that Georgia program with how much they rotate. Dane Brugler wrote this up on Christen Miller. He said, an energetic, reliable big man, Miller has an NFL body and helps disrupt an offense's ground game. Like most Georgia D linemen, he was kept fresh by playing in a heavy rotation and is still learning how to sequence a pass rush, but he has tools to add to immediate value to an NFL front. So he kind of doubled down on the rotation part of it. You look at how he's graded out, though, the kind of advanced numbers per PFF. Really good overall, above average as a pass rusher with that win rate there, 11.3%. That's really good for a defensive tackle. Run defense was excellent. His run stop rate of 7.4%, that was upper echelon among defensive tackles in college football. I also think this guy's best football is ahead of him. He's only 21 years old, and that's kind of the uniqueness of this defensive tackle group. I think there's 5 guys that could go in the first round and 5 guys that I would consider with the 25th overall pick. You got Peter Woods out of Clemson. You got Caleb Banks out of Florida, Caden McDonald out of Ohio State, Lee Hunter out of Texas Tech, and then Christen Miller out of Georgia. Well, Woods, Miller, and McDonald are all 21 or younger. I think Woods and McDonald technically are still 20. Caleb Banks is 24, and Lee Hunter is either 24 or is going to be 24. So it's kind of one of those, if you think they're all relatively in the same tier, and, Miller's probably not my favorite one right now, but if you think it's close and multiple of these guys are available, maybe just take the swing on the younger guy, right? Because you get 2-3 extra years, that's almost a full contract. And you look at this graph here, which kind of grades pass rush and run stop ability among defensive tackles over the last several years. Christen Miller's in that upper right box. That's where you want to be because that means you're good against the run and you're good against the pass. So, again, is he going to come in as a rookie and dominate? Probably not, but you get him into an NFL conditioning program and into an NFL locker room and with NFL coaching, this guy could turn into something pretty quickly, and I do think he could contribute right away at a position where you desperately need it. What position do you want in round 1? Like, if all things are equal, what is the position you want to target in the first round? Curious where you guys land on that one. Okay, round 2, pick number 57. I'm going to go with the Cincinnati linebacker, Jake Golday, who I think is going to test well in Indianapolis. We have boots on the ground there this week, so we will obviously monitor all of the NFL Combine stuff. But thought he had a really nice final season at Cincinnati. He transferred there before 2024, played the last 2 years of his collegiate career for the Bearcats, but kind of did a little bit of everything for Cincy. Over 100 tackles. You see the TFLs. The sacks at 3.5, 3 breakups, a forced fumble. He was an edge at a smaller college. I'm forgetting. Central Arkansas. Thank you, Producer Cullen. And so he's got kind of that pass rushing background. He's right around 240 at 6'4", so he is kind of built like a smaller edge rusher who converted into being an off-ball linebacker, but I do think you could use him as a blitzer and do different things with him. He graded out pretty well in coverage as well. Per PFF, he was mostly stout against the run, but even that pass rush grade over 60, again, for an off-ball guy, he's someone who can do that. And I just think in general, the Bears need to get younger and more athletic at linebacker, and I think Golday would provide that. Brugler wrote this up about him. He said he was asked to operate in a ton of space in college, almost like a nickel defender, which helped showcase his gazelle-like speed to chase down the ball anywhere on the field. His mental processing took a clear jump in 2025, which was the hope in his second season as a full-time overhang linebacker. And again, I just think TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, as I'm filming this, Edmonds is still on the team, but this is going out Sunday. Maybe he's been cut by then. Whether he's cut yet or not, they need to get younger and faster and more athletic at linebacker. TJ's probably still going to be here because they extended him before last year, but it'll probably be his last season. If he's going to be here and going to start, the guy that starts next to him needs to have an athletic profile, and this guy provides that. He can do different things. Maybe the Bears re-signed DeMarco Jackson as well, and you kind of run with that trio as your linebacker unit in 2026. Hopefully Noah Sewell can get healthy too and enter the mix at some point. Okay, round 3, pick number 89. I kind of went BPA here, and I don't know if it's a perfect fit. There's a question I have that I don't know the answer to, and if the answer is no, then I'd probably go in a different direction. But Gennings Dunker, the offensive lineman out of Iowa, who was a 3-year starter at right tackle in college, had a pretty good Senior Bowl week, was working at tackle and guard. Some think he might be better as a guard in the NFL. Does have 34-inch arms, though, so I think he's got the length to stick at tackle. I think how he tests will be big. If he doesn't test great, if he's not athletic enough, maybe you got to kick him inside. But I thought that he had a good week there in Mobile. He's graded out well in all 3 years of his collegiate career. He's got that offensive line look, right? I mean, he's a classic Iowa player, tough, built in the trenches, a lot of experience. They coach him up well there on the offensive line. But the big question I have is, can he play some at left tackle? Even if he's not like a full-time, long-term left tackle, can he give you some snaps there? Could you throw him into a competition at left tackle? Because that is the vacancy on the Bears' offensive line right now. Now, I'm not saying a lineman you draft in the 3rd round is just going to be a starting offensive lineman, certainly a left tackle right away. But if he could at least enter that competition, and then even if he doesn't win it, hey, he can be a guy who could be your backup right tackle, a swing guard, something like that, do some different things for you. I think in the 3rd round, that's still decent value, but if you don't view him as someone that can play left tackle at all, I think you'd have to pass, because I think anyone you take here, and we'll call it the 3rd or 4th round on the offensive lineman, ideally it's someone who could at least enter a competition at left tackle, because Ozzie Trapillo may not be available the entire season. And right now, the only one on the roster has any experience at left tackle, unless you want to count Karan Amagaji, who's played a couple games, but tons of injuries now, is Theo Benedict. And I think we saw late in the season the Bears kind of told you that they don't feel great about him either. You at least need to have a competition for him. And if Gennings Dunker, if people think he could play left tackle, if Ryan Poles feels that way, then maybe he's an option here. And some people think he could go like early day 2. So to get him in the 3rd round, late in the 3rd, I thought the value was too good to pass up on for Gennings Dunker. Okay, subscribe to the channel. Chat Sports got boots on the ground in Indianapolis all week. NFL Combine really ramps up Tuesday, I believe, but it's going to be a fun week. We'll have plenty of content to share from that, some clips for you guys, and other things, so on and so forth. There will be rumors swirling from the Combine too. Trade buzz will start to circulate, so lock us in. We got you guys covered. Okay, so our premium picks here, day 1, day 2. Christen Miller, the defensive tackle out of Georgia, goes in the 1st round. We take Cincinnati linebacker Jake Golday in the 2nd round, and then we go offensive line in the 3rd round with Gennings Dunker out of Iowa. We will do our day 3 selections coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's show is sponsored by Marsmen. Fellas, you want to check Marsmen out. It is fantastic. Especially if, you got to get that testosterone back to where it needs to be, because I'm 33 in just a few months now, and most men start losing testosterone around age 30 and about at 1% every year after that. So, when the new year hit, I said, okay, I need a reset. I want to feel energized again. I don't want to be worn down every single day. I'm raising a young child, long football season. So this year, I'm keeping it simple, and I'm doing something natural that supports my body. That's why I'm taking Marsmen. It helps your body unlock usable testosterone so you can feel like yourself again. Marsman supports healthy T levels, energy, and stamina. Has 8 natural and clinically dosed ingredients, including vitamins D, zinc, boron, and more. Marsman is made in the United States and is third-party tested. You can also get a 90-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk. Worst case, if you don't love it, you can get your money back. However, 91% of users report higher energy levels, so that is unlikely. For a limited time, our listeners get 50% off for life plus free shipping and 3 free gifts at mengotomars.com. That's mengotomars.com for 50% off and 3 free gifts when you check out. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show. Tell them that we sent you. All right, day 3. I love this value pick here. Michael Taaffe, the safety out of Texas. Good player. Better leader, better journey, better story. 4-year player at Texas, racked up some numbers, improved each and every year. 7 interceptions, 14 breakups, a willing tackler as well. But I think where he'll really stick out and maybe even sneak into day 2, I love him in the 4th, but could go in the 3rd, is the intangibles. This guy was a preferred walk-on, makes the team, becomes a team captain, and then an All-American. Gets on scholarship, becomes an All-American, becomes one of the leaders of the University of Texas football team, was critical in their playoff run a couple of years ago. He's an awesome story and a really good player. I think he can be a starting NFL safety. Now, is he that right away? I don't know. He's probably more like a 3rd safety as a rookie, I would guess. So I don't know if, this is your answer to pair with Kevin Byard or to pair with Mika Fitzpatrick or whoever, but I do think he has starting potential, and I think as a 3rd safety, I absolutely love him. Okay, round 5. Max Llewellyn, I think is how you say his name, another Iowa Hawkeye. Kind of a fun player, pretty productive the last few years, 14.5 sacks over the last 3 seasons. I think 12 of those are in the last 2 years. Went to the Senior Bowl, had a decent week. 6'5", about 255, so his arm length measured in just under 33 inches, so not massive, but I think big enough, especially when you get into day 3, to throw into an edge rotation on a Dennis Allen defensive line. Now, he did not grade out that well as a run defender last year. He was better in 2024 in that regard, but look at that pass rush win rate, over 17%. A guy like that on day 3, a lot of experience, 3-year starter at Iowa, I think in the 5th round, that's pretty good value. Okay, then you get to your 7th round picks, Malik Benson. And when you get past the 5th round right now with these simulators, and I'm using PFFs today, I think theirs is the best one, it's kind of a little wonky. I could see Benson going higher, especially if he tests well, and I do think he'll probably run a sub 4.4, so some team might take him in the 5th. You think about some guys over the years, teams just love speed. I think mid-late day 3, though, for the Bears, explosive playmaker, and by the end of the year, he had kind of emerged as their top receiver. They had some attrition at that position for the Ducks. He's played for 3 major programs, Alabama, Florida State, and Oregon, and he kind of put it all together this past season for the Ducks. And, we'll see what happens with DJ Moore, but regardless of if he's here or not, I think if you're going to draft a receiver, day 3, upside, speed, those are kind of the boxes you're looking to check for a Ben Johnson offense. Okay, and then I just kind of had fun with this last one. Eli Heidenreich, I'd have to double check that there, out of Navy. I remember watching this guy the last couple of years. He just did everything for them. He was like a running back, fullback hybrid, had 500 yards rushing this year. And for a program that doesn't throw the football, he was the only guy they threw to. He had almost 1,000 yards receiving last year, 9 total touchdowns. Look, Ben Johnson's creative. He likes different types of pieces. I don't know if he has a chance to stick in the NFL. Probably doesn't have a great chance, but I think if he does, getting him with a creative offensive mind gives him the best chance to try and get the best out of him. Can you have a package of plays for this guy? Can you use him as a fullback? Can you line him up in the backfield, in the slot? Get him some touches. Fun player in college, probably a guy you stash in the practice squad as well. Instead of trying to fight another team in undrafted free agency, you take him late in the 7th round and probably put him on your practice squad unless he surprises you and makes the 53. But do think it'd just be kind of a fun project for Ben Johnson to work with. All right, there you go. Bears mock draft 5.0. Christen Miller, Jake Golday, and Gennings Dunker, the picks in the first 3 rounds. And then on day 3, Texas safety Michael Taaffe, Iowa edge Max Llewellyn, Oregon receiver Malik Benson, and then Eli Heidenreich, the kind of just athlete, I'll call him, out of Navy, a guy who can do a little bit of everything. Okay, there you go. Grade Bears mock draft 5.0, A, B, C, D, or F. How did we do? And again, we will do a brand new mock draft probably next weekend once the combine is over. So be on the lookout for that. Hit that subscribe button. Hopefully you guys have had a fantastic weekend. We will continue to pump out content. We'll be back live on the channel on Monday, 4 o'clock Central Time. So subscribe, turn on notifications. We'll see you then. Bear down.